Good evening. On behalf of the Abingdon, Virginia Town Council, I'd like to welcome everyone to our August 2015 regular council work session. A couple of things we point out at the start of every meeting. First of all, our council, prior to each meeting, receives a package of materials that provide background information on the issues that we'll be addressing on each occasion. A copy of those documents is on the table there to my left. If you have questions about what we're doing or how we got there, you're more than welcome to look over that information. Also, I would encourage everyone to please turn off their cell phone or put it on silent mode or something like that, so we won't have that kind of disturbance this evening. I would also point out that I don't believe we have any public hearings tonight, but there will be an opportunity at the latter part of the meeting. If there's somebody who wishes to bring an issue to the council's attention, they can do so at that time, and they will have that opportunity. Otherwise, again, I would welcome everyone tonight, and I'll ask our clerk, Ms. Rosenbaum says here, as opposed to our deputy clerk, I believe is Ms. Tanya Triplett's official title.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Triplett is our now that Ms. Rosenbaum has officially become our town manager, or assistant town manager, pardon me, sir, ma'am. She is in the process of transitioning into that role, and we have a very able Tanya Triplett who is steadily moving to fill in that position. We welcome Ms. Triplett and thank you for your service, and we look forward to we thank you, first of all, for everything you did for us in the tourism department. You performed a great job there, and we had mixed feelings in terms of allowing you to be, to step up here, but you were very qualified, and we're happy to have you on board, and we wish you long and good service here with the town. All right, but if one of you folks would call a roll, it would be appreciated.
Mrs. During. Here. Mr. Howard.
Here.
Mr. Humphries.
Here.
Mrs. Lowe. Here. And Mayor Morgan.
Here.
And let the record reflect that all 5 council members are present, and I hope that's the last time I ever have to say that.
You never know. You never know.
What's she going to do with this?
We customarily begin our meetings with a Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll call on Councilmember Rick Humphries to lead us tonight.
If you all would stand, place your hand over your hearts, and then join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to our flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Council, we have 3 sets of minutes tonight for our consideration. The first is the work session meeting, or minutes from the work session that was held on July the 6th, 2015. We also have minutes from the regular session that was done that same night, and also minutes from the July 15th, 2015 work session. Are there any corrections or additions that need to be noted to these sets of minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion regarding this matter.
I'll go ahead and move that we approve all 3 sets this time.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion to second to approve all 3 sets of minutes as presented. Any further comment or discussion? Hearing none, if a clerk will call the roll, please.
Mrs. During. Aye. Mr. Howard.
Aye.
Mr. Humphries.
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe. Aye. Mayor Morgan.
Aye. Thank you very much. We try to, at our meetings, have an opportunity to recognize employees who have contributed to this success of our town and who have served us long and faithfully. And I'll ask Mr. Kelly, our town manager, if he'll take that part of our meeting tonight.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we're very fortunate to have several folks to be recognized tonight for their longevity with being employed by the town of Abingdon. It goes to show that the town of Abingdon is a good place to work. Most of the time when we have employees come to work here, they want to stay and finish their careers with the town of Abingdon. I'm going to go briefly through the recipients tonight, and then I'll call them collectively up here, and we'll make the presentations of the awards at that point in time. The first person that we're going to recognize tonight is Mike Rourke, and he works as a facility collector for the Wolf Creek Wastewater Reclamation Plant. He has been with the town for 20 25 years. It's not very often that we have somebody who's been here that long come before us. Now, we have in the past been able to give out a few 30s, a 40, and a 50 even, not too terribly long ago. But that's a true testament to Mike's hard work for the town of Abingdon, and we're very proud of him. The next recipient is Myra Martin, and Myra was not able to be with us here tonight, but she works at the front desk at the Coombs Center, and she's been with the town of Abingdon for 10 years, so hopefully we'll be able to publicly recognize Myra Martin at a later date. The next recipient is Reba Profit. She's an accounts payable clerk, and she's been in our finance department for a period of 10 years. She works very closely with our new director of finance, Chuck Banner, and does a great job in the finance department. And last but not least is Melisha Wynn, who is an Assistant Director Aquatics Coordinator at the Coombs Center. And Melisha has been with the town of Abingdon also for 10 years. And she does an excellent job. You always see her up at the Coombs Center working very hard with a smile on her face. And I would like for everyone to join me at this time in a big round of applause for these employees of the town of Abingdon. And if I could, let me get the recipients to come forward. Mike Rourke, Reba Profit, and Melisha Wynn.
Don't go too far.
We got another one up. Okay, Melisha.
Just a teeny bit. Maybe I need to do this. That's good.
And one more, folks. So if you're brothers,
Okay, we're gonna look over the top. All right. Two clerks, I have you in the picture, so you might as well. All right, okay.
Just a little bit. Yeah, we're trying to get it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all for your service.
thank you so much. Ready to come over here?
Hey, Mike, how are you? Good to see you.
Let me get here now. Okay, thank you. Council, we have one resolution for our consideration this evening regarding our Farmers Market Week. We have a couple of representatives from the Farmers Market with us tonight. If y'all want to come forward and talk to us. Thank you. Come right ahead, and if you state your names for the record, please.
Haley Stewart.
And Dave McLeish, I'm the facilitator for the steering committee, and she's the new market manager this year.
Very good. How are things going at the market?
They're actually going really well. Right now, our Saturday markets are full. They're full blown, and we have a bunch of people coming out. We've actually heard that we have people traveling from Kingsport, Johnson City, and all the surrounding counties to come to our market, so we feel like that's a very big asset to the town of Abingdon. Tuesday markets, they're getting there. We're trying to find new ways to get more people at the market on Tuesdays, and we're always open to suggestions about that. We do have a kids program called Farm Fresh Kids that happens every Tuesday, and we have given out over 250 of our Farm Fresh bucks so far this season, so that means that we've had that many kids at the market participating in that program, and that again brings out parents whenever they have to bring their kids to the market. And we have about roughly 75 active vendors at the market, and that's including people that come just like maybe for a day, or they're daily vendors, they might come once or twice a month. And yeah, we received
EBT?
Yeah, we received a grant with the help of some people at Appalachian Sustainable Development, and we are able to double dollars right now. So anyone who comes and uses EBT money, then we can double up to 25. So if someone comes and gets $25 worth, then we can give them 50 essentially to spend on fruits and vegetables at the market. And we received almost $8,000 for that, so we have a ton of money to get out, and we're really trying to bring people in for that right now. So we've been out to the health department, social security departments, trying to bring some people in, let them know that we do have that going on. And, I don't know, is there anything else right now?
Well, I try to be at the farmer's market. I don't usually get there on Tuesday nights, but I try to be there on, on Saturday mornings. And I have to say that I always remain so pleased with what I see. The farmer's market has turned out to be one of those, as I've noted before, one of those rare things the government has done that please just about everybody. And, the vendors seem to be happy. The folks, the consumers that come to the market are pleased, and it's very much of an activity that an awful lot of people build into their Saturday routine. And I have certainly been pleased to see the expansion in the types of fruits, vegetables, and meats and so forth that are offered there at the market. Nowadays you can find homegrown mushrooms, among other things, and the peaches, gracious, it's been a good year for peaches and berries down there, and it's been a pleasure to see some of the organic meats that are available these days, and the Asabala hogs and so forth that are being represented in one form or another down there. But I think the market has been such a real asset to the community, and it's just a great thing that we've done and have it there. Do y'all have any questions of these folks about the market and how it's going?
I don't. I can tell you something about Mr. McLeish.
All right.
He was the second place winner in our first business plan challenge.
Right.
And has stayed very active in the community and has contributed his time to not just his business, but to other folks' business and other organizations. And he's been a great help to us and a great asset.
And he has one of the largest, I suspect, one of the largest alpaca herds in southwestern Virginia, at least.
Very close.
All right. Well, it's been a great thing, and we are pleased to support the market. And again, another group of us have also been working on building on the success of the market, trying to have a what I would describe as a food initiative, recognizing our part of the world as a destination for high quality fruits, vegetables, food of many different varieties. And I want to thank you for all that you've done there. Yes, ma'am.
You said that your customers come from throughout the Tri-Cities. How far and wide are your vendors represented?
Within a 50-mile radius, so no one out of that 50-mile range can come in.
And we had to do that because we actually had vendors trying to come from over 100 miles away.
Wow.
And as steering committee members, we try and visit farms to make sure they're growing what they're bringing.
Yes.
And we're volunteers, so to travel 100 miles takes a lot of time off my farm.
Well, I'm glad you're going to that effort.
Yeah, so we did do a 50-mile as a crow flies.
And I'm glad you've got such a response within that 50-mile radius.
We have a great response.
Well, and I think it's a very significant thing, and it's one of the things that separates our market from some others is the fact that what you sell there are things that you grew. And, we're not trying to have a market where you bring in truckloads of peaches from South Carolina. These are locally produced foods, and I think that is a significant part for our community, is that it is very definitely a local activity that we are building on and supporting there. And I do know that a number of folks who probably never expected to be involved in farming or agriculture are finding niche opportunities and doing well there, with the market. I do have for our consideration this evening a resolution for the Council of the Town of Abingdon, Virginia, designating August 2nd through the 8th of 2015 as Farmers Market Week in Abingdon, Virginia. And I would like to take just a minute and read this into the record. And I would note that whereas the popularity of Virginia farmers markets has grown dramatically in recent years, from 88 markets in 2006 to nearly 250 markets in Virginia in 2015. And these markets play a vital role in giving farmers direct access to consumers and consumers direct access to farmers. And whereas farmers markets provide the public with a convenient, fresh, competitively priced source for high-quality fruits, vegetables, eggs, honey, herbs, flowers, organic items, cheese, baked goods, meats, homemade preserves, and I might add alpaca fiber. And whereas farmers markets reinforce and maintain community identity and help to foster new businesses, encourage and support the growth of new entrepreneurs, and are good for the economy, good for consumers' health, and good for the community. And whereas the economic impact of farmers markets include direct benefits to the farmers and business owners, but also indirect benefits to the community in stimulating downtown revitalization, enhancing parks and waterfronts, and preserving farmland through economic viability. And whereas now therefore be it resolved that the Council of Abingdon, Virginia recognizes that the Abingdon Farmers Market has played an important role in the life of our town and helped connect our citizens with the people who produce our food, and it has heightened public awareness of the role that agriculture plays in our region. And whereas now therefore be it further resolved, the Council does hereby proclaim August 2nd through the 8th, 2015 as Farmers Market Week in Abingdon, Virginia, and calls this observance to the attention of all our citizens. Thank you very much for all that you've done there. And I'd like to give it a round of applause.
May I add one more thing?
Yes, sir. You can add two.
We both forgot. Virginia Living Magazine has a contest every year, and Abingdon Farmers Market has won first place 4 years running.
4 years running.
And that is voted by our customers.
And that says a lot right
Yes.
there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I do, we'll get it's my hope and intention to come by the market tomorrow evening. What time do things close up?
We're there 3 to 6.
Okay.
It's going to be a little tight at 6 o'clock because they have music starting at 7.
Okay, well, I hope to be there tomorrow night to bring a framed copy of this, and we'll see how that works out. But thank you again for an excellent job, at the market, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the resolution as presented.
Thank you, and we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the resolution regarding the Abingdon, Virginia Farmers Market. I'll ask our clerk to call the roll, please.
Mrs. During? Aye. Mr. Howard?
Aye.
Mr. Humphries?
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe?
Aye.
Mayor Morgan?
Aye. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the reminder on that because it did slip me. Okay, I get so wrapped up in the excitement of it here. I mentioned earlier that I did not think we had a public hearing tonight, but by golly, we do, and I'm very remiss in not mentioning that. We have consideration of a final plat.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but can we go back to F on the agenda?
Yeah, we could sure
We
do that.
missed that, and I'd like to go ahead and do that if we
Well, I'm
can.
sorry. It seems to
sorry.
have been a rough run for me so far. I'm just skipping right over very important things. But item number F on our agenda was in regard to the recipients for the 2015 Arthur Campbell Awards. This is the Arthur Campbell Award being the highest honor bestowed by the town of Abingdon, Virginia. And I'm going to ask our Vice Mayor, Miss Kathy Lowe, if she would care to introduce the proposed nominees for this evening.
Mr. Mayor, I would probably like to start with saying that this is going to be our 4th annual Arthur Campbell Awards. And I would also like to let people know that the judges were selected from surrounding jurisdictions and they actually recommended to us the recipients. So with that, I will talk a little bit about each recipient. The first recipient is Mr. Wayne Miller. Wayne retired to Abingdon in 2006, and for Christmas that same year, his daughter presented him with a membership to the Virginia Creeper Trail Club. By the following year, Wayne was very involved in sharing his passion for the trail with others. His enthusiasm for the trail and his relentless dedication to the economic vitality of Abingdon and the surrounding area is evident by the numerous requests to speak to organizations and media about the trail. With over 100 individual trail projects to his credit, including installation of interpretive signs, memorial benches, picnic shelters, station painting, trail cleanups, and many more, his volunteer hours on the trail are in the thousands. In addition to the example he sets by volunteering countless hours, he has served three two-year terms as president of the Virginia Creeper Trail Club. Wayne's enthusiasm for the Virginia Creeper Trail, both publicly and as one-on-one as he meets and talks with people, has truly made him the Creeper Trail ambassador, and he is our first recipient. Our second recipient is Steve Smith. Steve Smith is the CEO of KVAT Food Stores Incorporated, headquartered in Abingdon. Steve's father, Jack, opened his first grocery store in 1955, and Steve grew up learning the basics of grocery industry. KVAT now operates supermarkets in southeast Kentucky, southwest Virginia, and east Tennessee, and its own distribution center in Abingdon. Steve is dedicated to serving the communities in which he lives and operates by supporting countless organizations. Smith and the company support Food City School Bucks, Race Against Hunger, Barter Theater, United Way, and numerous others. Steve also serves on numerous boards throughout the states of Virginia and Tennessee. Steve is passionate about being locally owned, committed to providing customers with quality products, and devoted to giving back to the community. So recipient number 2 was Steve Smith. Recipient number 3 is Emmett Yup in West Virginia, and from 1966 to 1969 was active duty for the U.S. Army, serving in Vietnam, where he received the Bronze Star Medal. Emmett returned to Southwest Virginia and settled in Abingdon, where he has practiced law for many years. Emmett has contributed generously to the community and was especially passionate about the creation of Veterans Memorial Park in Abingdon. The park now exists to honor our servicemen and women, and ceremonies honoring the community's veterans are held there during the year. After receiving his education, Emmett returned to Abingdon to practice law, which he has done for many years. Mr. Urey is a passionate preservationist of historic properties and has been involved with the restoration of the tavern and the cave house, just to name a few. Emmett served on the Virginia Highlands Airport Commission and was a major force in getting the addition to the runway to allow jet aircraft to use the airport. As a blacksmith, Emmett crafted wolves and donated them to the town to be placed atop the wayfinding signs. These are just a few of the many contributions that Mr. Urey has made to Abingdon in Southwest Virginia. So that is our 3 recipients of the 2015 Arthur Campbell Awards, and that ceremony will be held October the 16th, 2015 at the Martha Washington Inn, and we will begin accepting awards for the 2016, nominations for the 2016 awards, I guess now. Is it already up?
Yeah, we've got a place on the website.
There's a place, okay, and there's a place on the website. So we feel like these awards are the highest honor that the town of Abingdon gives, and would encourage people to reach out and nominate those that you know are providing a great service to the community.
And I would just make one brief comment to that, which is the purpose of the award is twofold. First of all, to well, not necessarily first of all, but to recognize the contributions made by citizens to the life of our town and southwestern Virginia, and also to recognize the contribution that Arthur Campbell made. He was the gentleman who first proposed starting the town of Abingdon, started that process. And we have the dinner in October as close as we can to what marks the actual anniversary of the founding of the town, or the approval of the resolution by the Commonwealth of Virginia back in 1778. And so it's a historic occasion in a variety of ways, and we do want to recognize those who are active and working with us today, but we also understand that the success of our town really goes back to its earliest days, where we were blessed with extraordinary leadership and continue to be.
Mr. Mayor, with that, I move that we formally nominate the three recipients, Wayne Miller, Steve Smith, and Emmett Urey, as the Arthur Campbell recipients for 2015.
And so we have a motion to formally to award the three recipients listed, Mr. Smith, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Urey, with the Arthur Campbell Award. Is there a second?
Yes, there's a second.
Thank you very much. And I'll also offer my compliments to Ms. Lowe, Ms. During, and our staff members who worked hard to help us, move the process along and try to make it more efficient and effective. And thank you for your work. Again, we have a motion and a second to award the three recipients with the Arthur Campbell Award. Any further discussion or comment? If one of our clerks will call the roll.
Mrs. Jordan?
Aye.
Mr. Howard?
Aye.
Mr. Humphries?
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe? Aye. Mayor Morgan?
Aye. Thank you very much. Now, and that brings us back to the public hearing that I overlooked the first time. Brought on out of order, and that was consideration of the final plat for subdivision, Holston Mountain Artisans, 214 Park Street Southeast, Abingdon, Virginia, 24210. That's tax map number 013-1-133. And Mr. Johnson, our Director of Planning.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have a copy of the final plat in your packet. It may be on the screen up there. For the property at 214 and 216 Park Street Southeast. This is a formality that we have to do, bring this before you for the council to approve. It did go before the Planning Commission at their July 27th meeting, and it was unanimously recommended for approval. Be happy to answer any questions you might have at this time.
You mentioned it was a subdivision, and would you care to briefly, for the record, describe what we're dividing?
Sure. The jail property, if you will, would be subdivided from the shop property. There are a couple buildings on the shop property. Jail would be primarily on its own lot there.
Okay. And again, the Planning Commission was supportive of this proposed request.
That's correct.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Johnson? Okay. All right. Well, this is a public hearing, and at this time, I'm going to declare the public hearing to be open. And if there is anyone who wishes to address the council
Mr. Mayor,
Mr.
a public hearing is not necessary on this one, if you want
Well,
to skip
you
that
know.
little activity.
Thank you. It's been great here, hasn't it? Okay. Thank you very much. It appears that we're not going to have a public hearing on this, or it's not necessary, but I will entertain a motion regarding this matter.
How about a little, you asked if you had any questions for Matthew, you want to?
You can ask him all the questions you
Just to bring the council up to speed, when the Holston Mountain Arson Center came to the Planning Commission, of which I'm a member, they asked us to do this because that they they were entertaining a offer on property, that they were to sell that property down there. Because that, I think they felt that the property was too cumbersome, having both parcels. Having the parcel that was the 1960s jail in a separate property made it more attractive to maybe a buyer. So that's why that they weren't wishing to move off the property, they were just wishing to make that more attractive in the long run. So that's just the background of what they told us.
Well, thank you, and that's, I appreciate that. Other questions or comments? Okay, now, again, do we have a motion regarding this matter? Care to make one, sir?
Sure. I will move that we allow the subdivision to go forward for Holston Mountain Arts Center, 214 Park Street, tax map number 013-1133, as presented by the Director of Planning, Matthew Johnson.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve on the first reading the plat of the proposed subdivision of Holston Mountain Artisans. Any further comment or questions? Hearing none, I'll ask our clerk to call the roll, please.
Mrs. Jordan?
Aye.
Mr. Howard?
Aye.
Mr. Humphries?
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe?
Aye.
Mayor Morgan?
Aye, thank you. Okay, and that brings us to reports from the town manager. Our first item is a consideration of sponsorship request from the Appalachian School of Law for the governor's second biannual Natural Resources and Energy Law Symposium, which is to be held at Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center on September the 21st, 2015. Mr. Kelly.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we received a letter from Dan Caldwell from the Appalachian School of Law, who he serves as the dean over there, and this is the second year of the Governor's Energy Symposium, and if council will recall, last year it had a large turnout and was highly successful, and the council appropriated funding toward the symposium last year in the amount of $1,000. So if the council is so inclined to support this again, I would assume that that would be an appropriate amount.
Okay. It is an impressive conference that they have outlined here, and I believe the governor is scheduled to make a presentation there.
Yes.
Is that just a one-day event? Mr. Kelly, is that more than?
Yes, it's one day. September 21st, 2015.
It's a Monday.
All right, council, again, in the past, we have contributed $1,000 towards this effort as a sponsorship, and there is a good turnout. Attended part of the one 2 years ago, and we had brings a lot of people to town, and really provides a focal point for discussing the energy status of Southwestern Virginia and legal implications for that. Is there a motion regarding this matter?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and contribute $1,000, I guess, out of contingencies
Okay,
for this project.
Very
for
good.
this conference.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to contribute $1,000 sponsorship to the second biannual Natural Resources and Energy Law Symposium that is being held at Southwest Higher Education Center. Any further comment?
I want to note that it does get us some attention. We get a couple of guests, and we get billing on the printed material listed in the program, to sign at the symposium, and logo and link on the webpage, so there's recognition involved in that.
Very good, very good. Okay, any other comments?
I was going to say the same thing Ms. Deering did, except that that qualifies us as a bronze sponsor.
All right, very good. All right. Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, if one of you folks would call the roll, please.
Mrs. Dury?
Aye.
Mr. Howard?
Aye.
Mr. Humphries?
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe?
Aye.
Mayor Morgan?
Aye. Okay, thank you. We'll get this down to a fine art one of these days.
Folks.
It's been kind of a rough evening.
I almost started to.
Yeah, well, that'd be all right, you know, I'll let you the next time. We do have consideration to change the date for October council meeting, and also the September council meeting, and these changes in schedule are never easy for us, but Ms. Rosenbaum, would you care to comment about this, please?
Yes, I think we are looking at the first change of council meeting date for the September council meeting. We have this happen every year as their meetings follow the first Monday of the month. And as always, that will be Labor Day. So I think it's my recommendation that we consider moving the September meeting to Tuesday. I believe that'll be September the 8th, if council is okay with that. Same time, same place, September the 8th.
Okay. All right, so Labor Day is September the 7th, and then again, the next work day will be the 8th. Okay. Let's take these one at a time. I presume a motion will be required?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion regarding this matter.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that we move the meeting, it's normally the first Monday, which Labor Day will fall on, to the next day, which will be Tuesday, September the 8th.
Okay, and we have, second, please.
Oh, second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to hold the normally scheduled town council meeting in September on Tuesday, the 8th. Any further discussion? Ms. Rosenbaum, if you'd call the roll, please.
Mrs. Jerry? Aye. Mr. Howard?
Aye.
Mr. Humphries?
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe? Aye. Mayor Morgan?
All right. Okay, and that brings us to October, and I believe council, and most of us at least, will be out of town at the Virginia Municipal League meeting that is scheduled to be the first week in October, and I think our normal meeting date would be the 5th. What is
Yes.
your recommendation about how we handle that one?
Well, this is a conundrum for sure, because normally I thought with you all coming back on Wednesday, I believe, which would be the 7th, you could do it that evening. You could do it Thursday evening the next day. We can't do it on the following Monday because that's a holiday and the offices are closed. So that pushes us to Tuesday, which is almost the middle of the month. So I think you're probably looking at either that Wednesday evening when you come home from your trip, you are going to Richmond, so it'll be a long day, or you're looking at Thursday night.
I'd just soon get it over with. We've already lost the day anyway.
That's what we did
On
the year
October
before
7th.
last.
We did that one year already.
Yeah.
And I think it worked out fine.
All right.
Yeah, late schedule too, didn't it?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion
We'll be back
regarding
on
this
Wednesday.
matter.
Yeah.
I move that we move the October council meeting to October the 7th at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
work
I'll
session
tell
will
you
be
what,
at
how about
6.
we don't have a work session that
That's what we
night?
did
That's what we
last.
before.
Yeah, we just had the regular meeting at 7:30, and that gave everybody time to get home and get unpacked and then get back.
Council meeting at 7:30 on October the 8th.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and second to hold the, to move the October,
I'm sorry, I said 8th, it's the 7th.
okay. All right, we have a motion and a second to move the October council meeting to Wednesday, October the 7th at 7:30 PM, and that will be held here at the town council, or the council chambers. Any further comment or discussion about this?
Yes, and you will be dispensing with your regular work session.
Okay?
Okay?
Yes,
So you'll start at 7:30.
yes. And Ms. Triplett, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Jerry? Aye. Mr. Howard?
Aye.
Mr. Humphries?
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe?
Aye.
Mayor Morgan?
Aye.
That
Okay?
was the easiest date change we've ever done in 9 years.
All right. Okay, so we've moved our meetings and taken care of that, and that brings us to the authorization, Mr. Kelly, to talk with us about a memorandum of understanding regarding passenger rail service. Mr. Kelly?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, if everyone will recall, there's been a strong drive to try to get passenger rail service from now that it will be going in effect in Roanoke to bring it on down our way. And about a month or so ago, I had a meeting with Andrew Trivett, the Assistant City Manager for the City of Bristol, and he had taken a trip to New York City to meet with the Norfolk Southern folks to discuss this as a possibility.
I believe it was maybe the Amtrak folks.
I'm sorry, the Amtrak folks, to see if this were a possibility. And in the meantime, they've also made treks to Chattanooga, Louisville, and Atlanta to see if it could go well beyond Bristol, with the thinking being that it would have to go into the heart of some of those larger cities to make this a reality. So what we're trying to do is get all of the localities who would be in line from Roanoke down this way to Bristol to execute a memorandum of understanding that we simply support rail traffic coming in this direction. And what I would request tonight is that the council authorize me to execute this memo, and it will be provided to me in an original draft. What I have here is just an electronic draft, but Mr. Trivett has indicated he will come up in the next day or two and bring that to me for execution if the council is so inclined. This is the first step in the right direction to making this happen. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination it's going to be anything that happens quickly, but nonetheless, if all the localities along the way south of Roanoke are willing to sign off on it, and these larger metropolitan areas are willing to sign off on it, the chances of getting here are much greater. So with that said, I would request that the council authorize me to execute this memorandum of understanding.
Well, it is a process. While it has been slow in starting, it is picking up steam and moving forward. And we sort of hope that within our lifetimes, we may very well live to see this. As we know, passenger rail service is coming to Roanoke in 2017, so it's getting a little closer to us all the time. And I would note that both Mr. Howard and Mr. Humphreys have been at various points have participated in some of the regional efforts to encourage passenger rail service here. Some staffing changes, I think, complicated matters for us to stay involved with that, but I would encourage you folks in particular to try and reconnect with this effort, because I think it's very important, and over the long haul will have a significant benefit to our community and our whole region if we can bring this forward. I know that there are a group of people in the New River Valley that are working very hard to connect with Roanoke, and I'm pleased to hear that Bristol is taking leadership on it, but we certainly wanted to have a stop here in Abingdon. And, I'll entertain a motion now regarding this memorandum of understanding that he's described to us.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we authorize the town manager to enter into, or to sign the memorandum of understanding presented in our council packet.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll say, it looks like most of it's the mayors that signed this.
Authorize the mayor.
The way our charter is set up, the town manager is supposed to execute all that.
That's fine. I will second that.
That'll be fine. Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second to authorize Mr. Kelly to sign the memorandum of understanding regarding the cooperative effort to bring passenger rail service to our area. Is there any further discussion or comment?
The other thing I was going to say, Mr. Mayor, is that
Because of staffing problems that have derailed this for us, I'm hoping that right now that this will put us back on track.
Yes, thank you, sir. I could have done better. But,
And that comment was kind of a sidetrack.
yes, it was. Yes, it was. We don't want to get derailed over this, that's for sure. All right, well, very good. We have a motion and a second, and I'm not going to repeat it the third time, but Ms. Rosenbaum, if you would care to call the roll, please.
Mrs. Dern? Aye. Mr. Howard?
Aye.
Mr. Humphries?
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe? Aye. Mayor Walken?
All right, thank you very much. Okay. That brings, item number 6 was regarding a matter concerning the country club. I believe that's been resolved, and it won't be necessary for us to...
Item 5, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. All right, that brings us to a letter, a consideration of authorization for the town manager to sign a letter to the Virginia Department of Transportation in support of the study of transportation and safety benefits of a bypass connecting exit 14 to Route 19. Mr. Dew, I believe you're well versed in this topic.
Good evening, Mayor Board, members of council. I'd just like to give, I guess, some background information on this item. And certainly if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them. But this consideration is for, as it says, lower support for VDOT to conduct a study to make a direct connection between Jonesboro Road and Main Street over to Route 19, roughly in the vicinity of Elementary Drive. If everyone's familiar with that, it would basically be a bypass targeted at getting some of the through traffic, primarily the truck traffic, to take that route instead of going through the two 90-degree turns at Main and Jonesboro and Main and Route 19. So Donnie Necessary of the VDOT's Bristol District Office, in discussions with him, he suggested that this would be a good way to show town support for them to conduct a study. We actually had two options, whether to do a VDOT-administered study or a town-administered study. And I think what generally in discussion with staff, we thought it might be a good idea for them to administer this as they have some of the other studies in recent years, such as the Frenchmore Boulevard corridor study, the Route 11 and Route 58 corridor study that they did on the Exit 19 area up to Exit 22, and then the one they're currently working on as far as Route 75 that stretches up and includes studying, once again, the Exit 17 area. So if you have any questions about the background, I think that's just some of the basics, but if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
As I understand it, we're recommending that they move forward with the study, but they're not talking about the town making any financial contribution to the study, is that correct?
Not at this time. I think for several years now, maybe VDOT's method of project development has focused on doing a study or having a study in the background that supports a project before they even consider funding for it. So they've made this recommendation repeatedly to every locality that if there is a project that is high on the priority list, that a study is a good first step in trying to make that happen, trying to secure funding for that project. So that's where we are at this point right now.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask Mr. Dew, how did this develop actually? I mean, was there somebody that helped spearhead this, or?
Well, there's been discussion of it for many years, as I'm sure you all know better than I do, having come here more recently, but it's also been a topic that's been discussed pretty heavily in some of the planning commission meetings in the recent past.
I think Mr. Craig may have...
Right, Mr. Wayne Craig, former planning commission member, was a big proponent of the study, and we actually met with VDOT staff at the Bristol District, it's probably been a year ago or more now, to discuss this and a few other projects in town. And this would involve, obviously, this would involve two localities because a good portion of the project would be in the county.
For people who don't know about Mr. Wayne Craig was a principal with Mattern & Craig, one of the larger engineering firms in the state of Virginia. And when Mr. Craig decided to retire, he came to Abingdon to retire and bring his expertise in engineering. He primarily has a passion for roads and trying to get people where they can go quickly and unabated. So I think Mr. Craig needs to, we need to say something to Mr. Craig somewhere along the line. Thank him for that.
Sure.
But anyway.
Very good, sir. So again, basically, what you need from us is an authorization or a letter of offering our support to actually performing the study. Is that correct?
That's what this item is up here for, is consideration to give the town manager authorization to sign a letter of support for this study. And VDOT is recommending that we go through the House Bill 2 funding application process, which is a new process for all of us across the state in order to try to get this study funded.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion regarding this matter.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we authorize the town manager to sign the letter to VDOT in support of the state with transportation and safety benefits of bypass connecting exit 14 to Route 19.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to authorize our town manager to sign a letter to VDOT in support of study of transportation safety benefits of a bypass connecting exit 14 to Route 19. Any further discussion about this matter? Okay. Who'd like to call the roll this time?
Mrs. During?
Aye.
Mr. Howard?
Aye.
Mr. Humphries?
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe? Aye. Mayor Morgan?
Aye, thank you. All right, don't go too far, sir. All right, and I believe item number 6 has been resolved, but that brings us to the matters of old business, an update on blight issue on Panorama Drive. Mr. Dew, would you care to tell us a bit about that? I think Mr. Macbeth raised an issue or concern last meeting, and tell us what you found over there, please.
Correct. After the last meeting, when Mr. Macbeth made us aware of the situation up on Panorama Drive, I think John Phelps is going to be able to pull up a couple pictures that I took, hopefully, that just...
Can you tell me where they're at again?
Should be on Public Shares.
I'm in scans right now.
Scan John Dew. And somewhere down there should be Panorama Drive. There they are, 2 of the pictures.
There we go.
Thank you. And it's a little small, but hopefully you can, you see the problem we're dealing with.
Okay. No, come up.
But it's a vacant lot, and Mr. McBeth, if my description doesn't fully tell the story, feel free to add to it. A vacant lot that obviously, at this point, I don't know, haven't been back since then.
It has a sinkhole in it too, so it's close to the aquifer.
Whether or not it's been, if anything's been done since these pictures were taken, this was not long after the last council meeting when I went up there and took the pictures. Obviously, it's a vacant lot. Obviously, it hadn't been mowed and maintained anytime recently. And like Mr. Macbeth brought up last time at the meeting,
Say that again.
there had been some spraying done on the lot as well. And I think the other picture, or no, there's the one that shows some of the weeds that had been sprayed that were discolored. And Mr. Macbeth said at the last meeting that he and maybe some of the other residents noticed like a aroma, pungent aroma.
Pungent aroma coming. And by the way, it's twice as high now.
Okay.
And in fact, it goes all the way to the house above now.
Okay.
The whole area is not been upkept.
So as far as the spraying, I did have a conversation with Mr. Macbeth soon after going out and taking a look and taking these pictures about the spray. We don't have anybody on staff, I guess, with an expertise, or if there is even an ability to go after the fact, after a certain amount of time, to be able to determine what exactly was used to spray the weeds. But I did suggest that if it did happen again, if there was evidence of it, that he could contact DEQ directly, who has some authority and certainly more expertise than we do over that, or contact me or us at the town, and we could pursue that option as well.
Have you talked to the owner of the property
I have not talked with him directly.
to ask what he used?
I have not. I've not asked for that. I can.
Yes, why?
Question is why not?
Why not?
I haven't contacted him.
Yes.
I lack the expertise, but I'd be glad to call him and ask that question. I don't know if that's a legal issue that needs to be.
Well, that's, yeah.
The town manager can answer that.
Yes, he has not been directed to contact those folks. We have a process of going through with getting people to comply with these types of issues. In terms of the spraying, the better course of action is to go through DEQ. We will, in light of the complaint that you've brought about the overgrowth, we will take care of that, and we will be in contact with the owner about that.
It's been that way for a long time.
Yeah, well, I don't doubt that, but, you know, we did have a code enforcement officer, and I would have to go back and pull his files to see if this was one of the properties that notices had been sent to.
It has been.
Okay, well, the owner has been notified then.
Okay.
When did the code enforcement officer move on to another job?
It's just been the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's been within the last month.
Well, last month he was already there, so.
Well, Mr. Macbeth, if you'd like to come see me, we can sit and talk about it and move forward with trying to get some satisfaction out there.
I'm not the only one up there who's complaining about this.
Okay.
Is the other picture different than this one? Did you take out two pictures?
Did you have the other one, John? I think maybe that just shows, that may be more of a direct shot of the area that was sprayed.
See more of the spraying, it looks like
And the sinkholes drop down, it's from there.
Okay. All right, very good, sir. Do you have any other comments about this, or?
I don't, that's all I have
All right.
to report.
By the way, this is not the only property we talked about there. We have another individual.
Not sure I recall.
We just went and cut her grass because she has not done it since she moved there, built the house.
Well,
And it's like, it was 6 feet high.
If you'd like to come see me, we can sit and identify those properties.
Oh, we haven't. Bob knows all about it. We've had other people up there complaining. You've talked to Aaron. In fact, Aaron was going to be here tonight too, but he couldn't make it.
Mr. McBeth? What would probably be beneficial for all of us is if you we don't have a code enforcement officer right now, so if you have specific names of owners and properties, if you will give that list or come and see the town manager, because, that is the process, is the town manager authorizes operations of the town.
And Mr. Kelly, if you'll, in our September meeting, just report back to us on this, please. Okay. All right. Thank you. That brings us to matters that are not on the agenda, and at this time, Mr. McBeth, do you care to comment any further about this matter? This would be an appropriate time.
One other thing is when you moved your meeting in September, that's the same night as the Board of Zoning Appeals. I know we're moving our meeting a month before that, a week later, but that's the exact same time if we do meet in September, just so you know. Also, we brought this up a number of different times, and we don't have access to tell you who the owners are, because they're vacant lots before. All right, so it's kind of, you put the onus on the people up there. If this was down in the district, it would have been taken care of a long time ago. We know this, and that's what we feel up there. We've talked to, there's a number of us talked together about it, and we've brought it up to certain people up here already, past times. I've been up here talking about it, I know a number of times over the years. But we feel that we're just kind of a second-class citizens up there. We don't get, anything that happens down here is down in the district. And you're supposed to be covering everybody in Abingdon, not just the people downtown. And so that's what we're feeling, and it's getting a little hotter up there because we're seeing this. We don't see any help, we just see, all we get back is, well, we can't do anything, so you go to DEQ the next time. Well, we'll do this next time. Or it's your job to go find out who they are. We're paying taxes just like everybody else. And your taxes are supposed to be out there to help have a code enforcement. We were here during the times when you put that thing together, and code enforcement officer was up there a number of times. But like I said, I've got a neighbor that doesn't want to cut her grass. I mean, she's got Christmas trees out there for the last 2 years. I mean, the whole back area and everything, it's just totally not upkept at all. Everybody else is taking care of the property up there. A neighbor across the street went out and cut the grass because it got so high, and a lot of other problems. I spent a ton of money in my backyard because trying to keep that up. I've been fighting that for years. And then we have other properties out there not being taken care of. But if down the district, boy, that would be taken care of right away. And don't tell me I'm wrong. It would be, right?
We're not going to get into a great debate about this.
No, I know.
But I will note that sometimes, the town is not, the biggest town in the world, but it's fairly good size. And we have we have a limited number of staff, and it's helpful to have these things brought to our attention. And we're aware of your problem. I think there are some things that we have the ability to control and have legal authority to monitor. I'm not sure that weed spraying is necessarily one of them, but we do have the authority to enforce the code regarding weeds and blight and that sort of thing. And we are in a period of transition with our code enforcement officers. It's very clear to all of us on council and staff that we need to get somebody on board fairly quickly, because we do have issues that need to be addressed, and it is important for the quality of life, so people just don't have the aggravation of having to look at some problems when they maintain their own property. We take your concerns seriously, and I'm confident that we will be able to get some relief, on the process for you. But I will note for the record that we have to follow the law, and there is a process that we're obligated to follow involving notification and several other things. And regrettably, there's not much that happens fast. even, under the best of circumstances. But I believe that we are committed to addressing these problems, and I'm optimistic that you will see some results here.
Yes, sir. And I just want to clarify, by all indications, I thought that you knew who the property owners were, and it would expedite the process if you
No, I
made
was
that
told
list.
by Mr. Craig Kelly that he knew exactly who the owner
Okay.
was.
Well, I thought you knew who they were.
I
and
know
if
who-
you
I
could just
know-
give-
I know who one of them was,
And he's
and
the only one that's got the sinkhole down there. They've had problems with him for...
well,
ever since he's been
and
there.
we cut his grass last year and billed him for it. And there is the process that the mayor talked about, and I'm not asking you, Mr. Macbeth, to go research who the owners are. We have a GIS system. We're
I know you do.
capable of pulling those things up, but it's helpful if you will just come see me or some of the other staff, and we can look on the GIS and you can pinpoint the specific properties for us. That at least gets the process rolling until we can get a code enforcement person who's regularly patrolling the area to find these situations. That's all I was asking for you to do. I wasn't asking you to provide me with names and addresses and whatever. I can find those myself.
Well, that's what we're saying. It's not our position to know exactly who they are. We've mentioned these people before a number of times. In fact, even when you did a court enforcement officer, he's been up there a number of times, specifically on these same properties. This is not something new, it just came up. This has been going on for years.
Well,
Okay. And I mentioned personally to them, and also when your past assistant town manager knew all about it, and he was involved with it a number of times. So it's not like this is the first time I'm talking about it.
Well, Mr. Macbeth, you've got our attention.
Okay?
Okay, and we will certainly have a report on this at September, and hopefully some things will happen between now and then.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council at the present time? Okay. Does anyone on, let's see, we have a couple of appointments to boards and committees, if I'm following the agenda more or less correctly at this point in time. Our Economic Development Authority, there are two appointments there. John Mahaffey, his term expires in August of this year. He is eligible for reappointment. And also Ms. Laura Blevins' term expires this month as well. She is also eligible for reappointment. Council, what's your pleasure regarding this matter?
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we reappoint John Mahaffey and Laura Blevins for the upcoming terms they're eligible for.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Thank you to reappoint John Mahaffey and Laura Blevins to terms on the Economic Development Authority. Any discussion or comment? Hearing none, I'll ask Ms. Rosenbaum. She'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Drury? Aye. Mr. Howard?
Aye.
Mr. Humphries?
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe? Aye. Mayor Morgan?
Aye. And council, we have one appointment on the Sustain Abingdon Committee. What's your pleasure regarding this matter?
Mr. Mayor, last month we reserved 5 names of Abingdon residents that we were going to continue to keep their names. And the person that we have is from Bristol, and I understand that a couple of other Abingdon people may have submitted a late, so I would ask that we put this off until next month.
Okay, so we have a request that we table this to till our September meeting. I'm not hearing any opposition to that. Okay, so we will table that. That brings us to council member reports, and I'll call upon Mr. Humphries. Do you have anything for the good of the cause?
Well, I hope I do.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to tell everybody briefly about the Fairview dedication. Fairview, the town of Abingdon working farm that is on Hillman Highway, has official dedication. They are looking at right now, with the help of the Old Glade Tractor Association, developing that and having it where that younger people can come out and see farming techniques, the way farmers were from about 1790 on up to present day. The dedication was held at Fairview on the 23rd. and it was a nice crowd there for the dedication. It went along and coincided with the tractor show, which I think was close to 1,000 people attended the tractor show. Well attended for the 3 days. There were a lot of activities and events there. If you miss it this year, don't worry. They're going to have it next year, and we want everybody to come out. Thanks everybody for what that they have done to help champion this along, and thank you council members for people who put the money there and to try to help us develop Fairview and make it somewhere where that it's not only good for our citizens, but then if people come from outside, they can come and gives them something extra to do during the day. The second thing is I wanted to compliment Kevin Costello getting the visitor center open the other day. Saw the visitor sign open out there, and not so big a closed sign. So I hope that means that it's closed today, but it was opened on over the weekend. So that was nice.
What you're talking about, the Finley House?
It was the Finley House. It was the visitor center Finley House. I'm sorry. I assume everybody's up to speaking with what I know, and not that I know much, but anyway, that's it. And then the third thing is I guess it's Kevin Worley that's in charge with the ball fields, and the ball fields are really coming along good. The Little League parking lot looks really, really good. The wood has gone around the parking lot. It's funneling everybody into one crosswalk, all the Little Leaguers into one crosswalk. And thank you. It looks like it's a great safety measure and a convenience to all the parents and grandparents that got to watch their kids.
John Dick.
John, dude, all right. So, all right. So put that mark on the wall for John, dude. I need to give him a mark. So a good mark.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Street department crew, staff, doing a great job.
It does look good, there's no doubt about it.
And I know it's a collaborative effort, and everybody.
It is, yeah.
It's a good thing, but thank you. Pass the word along to everybody else if you would.
Well, it's been a great project to see that come together. You know, parking was such a problem out there for so many decades, but the most recent changes have really reduce the potential for accident out there by limiting the entrance and egress points. And, you know, it's a great thing to see it come together, and it looks good, too.
It does. It looks wonderful. And I do want to mention one more time, because I mentioned this every time, this was councilperson, Vice Mayor, Kathy Lowe's idea to do this. I think it's just a wonderful idea, and I think that the kids are going to reap benefits from it until such time that we maybe have a athletic field somewhere else.
And it's nice to see the safety lights working, too. You know, it's all really come together there. All righty, Vice Mayor Lowe.
Yes, sir. I want to compliment the town department heads and staff. I thoroughly went through the budget because it's the end of the year report. And in almost every department, they did not spend the full amount of their budget. And I just want to congratulate you all for that, and thank you for all your efforts.
Very good. Anything else? Okay.
That's it.
Mr. Howard.
I don't think I have that.
All right, Ms. Dory.
Thank you. I want to encourage you to attend and to encourage others to attend any number of the town meetings held to discuss Fields in-house. We have scheduled them on a variety of days and a variety of times to hopefully accommodate many work schedules. I can go through the dates and times here. They're also on the website.
Why don't you go to those dates?
Okay, the dates are Tuesday, August 11th, from 6 to 7 at the Food City headquarters. Thursday, August 13th, right here in this building from 1 to 2 downstairs. And Monday, August 17th, there are two sessions at the library. One is at 9:30 to 10:30. One is at 2:30 to 3:30. We want people there. We want you to participate and to speak your thoughts and ideas. Matthew, do you want to add anything?
That's great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, anything else?
No, thank you.
All righty. I don't have much, but I will note that I attended a meeting at White's Mill recently, and I encourage folks to go out to White's Mill, have a look at how things are coming along. The water is just about ready to go over the mill wheel again. It's been a long time for that group to bring that together, but it's a great thing to see the sluiceway coming up and ready to go, and White's Mill is about to sort of officially arrive and start a new stage in its renovation. And it's a pleasure to see it. There was a time in our history when White's Mill was about as good an attraction as anything that we had in this part of the world, and I think that day has just about come back around, and it'll play a very significant role in our tourism and visitors area here. And that group is also working closely with the Old Glade Tractor Association and the Harvest Table Restaurant up in Meadowview to bring back some of the heirloom varieties of corn that were once grown here. And so we're finally at a point where we're going to have heirloom corn grown at Fairview by the old, grown and harvested using antique equipment by the Old Glade Tractor Association, again at Fairview, and the meal will be ground at White's Mill and served at the Harvest Table and other places in the area as well, and it's a great thing to see it come together. And that is about the extent of what I have. Although I will note that I see Miss Susan Howard back here with us. Are you officially retired from, at this point in time, from Main Street?
Oh, it's my last day.
This coming Friday? Well, I want to use this opportunity to thank you for your good service to the town. You accomplished a lot while you were with us, and you worked, I know, very hard to improve life on Main Street. Main Street's a long street. And you had a couple of real winners at the very end of your tenure. The wrapped boxes that are out on the streets look excellent. And certainly the signs that we're seeing out on the interstate parking are noting our attractions. You and Mr. Costello managed to bring it together. But again, we want to thank you for your service. I'll ask everybody to give her a round of applause. You're welcome.
Very mixed emotions.
I'm sure you do, and
I might add, she's not retired.
well, and I was going to give you a lapel pin, but I rather suspect you have one. But thank you again for all your good service to the community, and we appreciate the role that Main Street plays in the life of our town, and you know, we wish them well, and we wish you well. We realize you're not going far, though. All right, very good. I do have several announcements that I need to make or point out for this evening. August is a very busy month here in Abingdon. We have First Thursday in Virginia Highlands Festival coming up on August the 6th, and lots of things will be going on at various arts venues in our community. August the 9th, we'll have Create Your Own Art Adventures at the Barter Theater tent. That's from 1 to 3. August the 19th, the mid-month work session will be held by the Town Council. That'll be downstairs in the Arthur Campbell Room. September 5th, we're looking at the first annual Busker Fest in Abingdon, and perhaps we'll be starting something very new here with that. September 5th, we have Bluegrass Barbecue and Brews celebration is going to be held at Hartwood. Again, the town offices will be closed on the 7th in observation of Labor Day, and on the 13th, the Outdoor Expo will be held at Hartwood. This is the second time they've done this. Last year it was a really big deal. And yes, ma'am.
And the governor is coming to Hartwood September 21st and 22nd for, what is that? It's some kind of symposium, but I forget the name.
It's the one we put up $1,000
for. No, there's going to be something at Hartwood
yes,
also.
there is. I think it's...
Creative Economy, yes, thank you very much. It wasn't just the symposium. But anyway, and that's the 21st and 22nd at Hartwood.
And there will be a series of workshops regarding the creative economy and sort of developing new opportunities here, and it's an excellent program that they have lined up. Yes, sir.
Well, if we're going to get into later on in September, I would like to mention that
you just go right
September 21st, 22nd, 23rd is going to be the call to arms for the muster and for all the school children. There should be 1,500 school children down there for those 3 days. So drive by and look and see what they're doing, or you can come by and join. So. Thank you, Jay.
Anybody else? Thank you for coming. I will declare us adjourned.